Hi guys, it's Nikki here, and I wanted to start off, this is kind of my new seriesy thing, which is going to be about dyslexia. Dyslexia is something I believe really quite a lot in, not in whether it exists or not, but in supporting people and talking and being open and honest about dyslexia. Because dyslexia is something I struggle with, and it does have quite a big impact on my life. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand or don't really want to talk about, because a lot of people who are dyslexic find it uncomfortable. They tend to think that they're going to be judged as being stupid, or for whatever reason. I just don't think it's talked about enough. I basically want to start talking more about dyslexia, about the impact it has on my life, about some of the things I do to help out my dyslexia, because through my school years and then after that I've learned a lot of different ways of dealing with my dyslexia, and so I'd love to hear from you guys, if you're dyslexic, what you do to overcome the issues you have, and if you're not dyslexic, I'd love to hear from people what they actually feel that dyslexia is. I believe dyslexia is not always a negative thing. Obviously it can have negative impacts on your life because it does make certain things harder, obviously like reading and writing, spelling, all those kind of things can be harder, and I find that it does kind of increase my stress levels. But at the same time, dyslexia is a lot of what makes me who I am. It's what makes me me, and because of that, and also a lot of other things which I'm going to explain in this video, I actually do love the fact that I'm dyslexic as well. It makes me see the world slightly differently to people without dyslexia, and also to other people who have dyslexia, because dyslexia can be different in everybody, so it's not like a one-size-fits-all thing. And that's something else I find fascinating about dyslexia, is that actually I'm dyslexic, I know lots of other people that are dyslexic, and we don't struggle the same ways, which I think is brilliant, because it means that we all are good at our own stuff, and we can all bounce off each other, which is brilliant. So obviously from my video you can see I don't hide the fact I'm dyslexic. When I was in school, and I'm going to do a whole video about this, about finding out I was dyslexic and stuff like that, but back in school I never wanted anybody to know that I struggled. I really struggled more probably because I didn't want anyone else to know I was struggling than if I'd have admitted that I could have done with extra help. But yeah, nowadays I'm really open and honest about it. The last time I went for a job interview, I told them I was dyslexic, and the guy from the HR department nearly had a heart attack, and he said that I shouldn't have told him that. And I said to him, why not? What difference does it make to you? And he said, well, because of discrimination. If you tell us that you're dyslexic, then we could choose not to employ you, so we shouldn't know that you're dyslexic. When I said, well, that's ridiculous, because me being dyslexic means that I'm going to bring a whole different set of ideas and ways of looking at things to the table than non-dyslexic people. So I think it's something that you should be looking for in people. And they hadn't heard that point of view before. I did actually get the job. I had a really good time working there. And actually, as I said, my dyslexia did bring real positives to my role, which was brilliant. So that's the positive sides of being dyslexic. And there are many more of them, don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna, again, come back to that. But anyway, the other side to it is that it's really frustrating. And if you're dyslexic, tell me if this is the same things as you find. But I really find it annoying sometimes when I sit there and I've got my pen and I've got some paper and there's nothing that comes out. And my mum's not dyslexic. She's wonderful. She has learned how to deal with me and my dyslexia, but she still doesn't quite get it, because it's not the same way as she thinks and the same way as she deals with her own life, I suppose. So she always says to me, make a list. Make a list. I mean, if there's one thing that I am no good at all at, it is writing and sticking to lists. I can't do it. I just find a list really daunting. And also to write a list. I can't organise my thoughts in a way that allows me to write them out like dum 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 as a list, because then I worry about getting it in the right order, which sounds ridiculous, and to people who are real listy people, you won't get that. But to me, it has to be in the right order, even if there's not an order. So yeah, it can be super frustrating. The other thing is, my dyslexia makes me really disorganised, and as much as in my life I would love to be an organised person, and I always really like the idea of being organised, It doesn't happen. It's just not available to me, which is a real shame. But also it's something I've learned to deal with. It's, you know, it's the way that I am in life. I try and forward plan knowing that I'm not organised and knowing that I'm not very good at sticking to a schedule. So if someone says to me, you've got to be here by this time, time and me are not the best friends. But like 10 minutes, what's 10 minutes? I mean, in my world, 10 minutes, it doesn't really have a lot of meaning. I have been told that's because of my dyslexia, because it affects my my awareness of the time passing. Yeah, and that's a kind of really hard one to explain, but it does really affect me. So once I had a teacher who thought it would be a good idea to get me to wear an elastic band around my wrist and then set an alarm. And every 10 minutes when my alarm went off, I should ping myself with my elastic band. Well, I can tell you I probably did it twice. I wasn't a fan of pinging myself with an elastic band, to be honest. And I found that my alarm would go off and I would turn it off. I would forget what it was going off for and I would just carry on, because I do find it hard to get into things, but if I get into something I become very focused on that one thing, and my alarm would go off and I'd be like, shut up and go away, I'm concentrating. So yeah, that never worked. So me and time, me and organisation, not the best of friends, but I do try. I want to ask who came up with the word dyslexia though, because part of my dyslexia I really struggle to spell, and I know that is very true for a lot of dyslexic people. So who on earth decided it should be called dyslexia? Now if you've ever tried to write that word down, right, I have to spell check it every time, because I know it starts with a D, I know it has a Y in it and an X in it, and I know it'd be a good Scrabble score. Scrabble, another one of those things. I think it's probably true to say that I have never won a game of Scrabble, but I do enjoy it. I like the challenge, but only with people who I love and trust, because otherwise I just feel stupid. And that's one of the things, like, why should we feel stupid? And I probably shouldn't play Scrabble because it does that to me. But do you know what? It's quite fun sometimes to have that bit of a challenge and just to see what words come out of my brain, and just occasionally I get quite proud of myself when I do get it right. One of the things I also love about being dyslexic is I'm very proud of all the people who have been or are dyslexic and how amazing they are, because there are some truly amazing people out there. Top of my list and right up there is always Sir Richard Branson. Built up companies, and he has just kind of said to the whole world that what his dreams will come true, and I love that about him. He is a huge inspiration on so many levels, but the fact that he is dyslexic and he has done so much I think is wonderful. And what a great role model for anybody and everybody who doesn't, not even just for dyslexics, but anybody who ever doubts themselves or who ever have a dream but they don't want to follow it just in case they don't get there. There are lots of other people as well. One of my other favourites, Albert Einstein. Oh yes, he was dyslexic. It's official. Steven Spielberg is also dyslexic. Now he's one of the best known directors in the world. Steve Jobs, for all those Apple fans out there, he was dyslexic. A guy called Charles Conrad. Now I had to look up his name because what I knew was one of the first people to walk on the moon was dyslexic, but I wasn't sure who it was. It's Charles Conrad, otherwise known as Pete. He was the third man to walk on the moon, and he was also dyslexic. Leonardo da Vinci, which amazes me because I've never read one of his books, because I always thought they would be quite a hard read from what the subject matter is. So maybe I'll give one of those books a go. I love that all these people are out there and don't mind that people know. I've seen videos where Richard Branson's talked about dyslexia, Steven Spielberg has talked about dyslexia. I've got just a couple more people to also add to my list. Orlando Bloom, not only is he rather good looking, he is dyslexic. Theo Paphitis from Dragon's Den. And lastly, Alexander Graham Bell, who was a scientist and an inventor. There is so many more lists. I could go through names for hours of people who are incredible and dyslexic. But at the end of the day, I think every dyslexic person is incredible in their own way, because there are daily battles which we all get through. We learn through school a lot of really key traits. Now, it's not something that school is trying to teach us, but because we're dyslexic, it's something we have to learn. We learn resilience, we learn determination, we learn positivity, and we end up with a great mind for problem solving because we have to find our own way of getting through things and having our education in our own way. And they are all things that I think set us up fantastically to be successful in life. So if you are dyslexic, take a moment, even if you don't want to be outwardly proud of being dyslexic, just take a moment to sit there right now and think about the amazing things that you've done, even the smallest thing. Well done to all you dyslexics out there, and well done to all you normal people, normal people, all the non-dyslexics out there who put up with a dyslexic person in their life, and love them for who they are and what they're like. I think the world needs dyslexic people because we see the world from a slightly different point of view, and so we push the boundaries in our own way. As a t-shirt I once read said, "Dyslexics unite." The joke there was that it actually said untied, but I didn't read that. I thought that t-shirt was so funny and I wish I bought that. So come on dyslexics, let's unite together. Give me your comments below, tell me how you cope with your dyslexia. Thanks so much, bye!